The beach is closed and we're gonna need a bigger boat. It's Tickets Please with your first and second mate, Austin Gould and Carson Grey. Happy 4th of July, everyone. This is the 4th of July special. We're, of course, covering Jaws, the ride. Because if you didn't know, the seminal classic Jaws takes place over the 4th of July weekend. So I thought it'd be great to look back on this once beloved, but now defunct, largely. I know it's still in Japan, but it's largely defunct, at least here in the States. Attraction of Jaws. So we'll be covering that today. And a couple of housekeeping things. One, we just passed 800 subs. Thank you so much. We're on the ever-growing journey to 1,000 and then beyond. We really appreciate you watching that. We've been pumping out more content, and I actually wrote it down to the top of this episode. You can find me at OSG Tickets Please at TikTok.com. .com. What am I, 200 years old? You can find me at TikTok at OSG Tickets Please. And I'm going to clip that gif of Carson dancing, and that's going to be used somewhere. Also, if you haven't, check out our last episode with Vincent Brescia, a.k.a. Is Not a Local, who was on TikTok. It was a really great episode. We talked about vibes at Disneyland. It was super fun. I had a great time recording with him, and he can come back anytime. And then also, I made some Halloween Horror Nights content on the channel. So go check those out and keep tuned for more content as we know as it comes through. In the upcoming weeks, you'll have a Jurassic a Jurassic Park River Adventure history video and a news video coming out shortly. But anyway, we're covering the Jaws right today. Very excited. Jaws is maybe my favorite movie of all time. Of course, directed by Steven Spielberg. And because of that, they made a ride off of it, but we'll get into history in just a bit. Funny note up top, when we were covering this ride, we have a group chat with Braden, our other host here. And I was like, we'll cover Jaws for 4th of July. Braden wasn't able to attend this session, but we love him nonetheless. And we'll get him on again soon. And Carson was like, I've been on Jaws. And I was like, have you? like that's what I thought to myself, because I was like, okay. It didn't make sense to me, though. It went right with my befuddlement of your experience at Universal, where you didn't get on any of the rides I thought you would get on. And then you were like, I rode Jaws. And I was like, because it closed in 2012. And I was like, you must have gone before the high school trip, because it wouldn't have been open. And then today, right before we started recording, you were like, I haven't been on Jaws.
Yeah, I guessed it myself.
You knew about it, though. You were telling me about it. You were like, the boathouse scene. And I was like,
I must have watched a damn video or something. I don't know what I did. But I was like, I knew about the warehouse. And then I was like, it closed in 2012 in Orlando, and that's the only time I've been there was in 2015 up till now, which that might change soon. I would love to have that happen soon, if you and I can go. But anyway, that aside, yeah, I have not been there, but I did. I made sure to watch a couple of the POVs going on, and I got an idea of the ride that was originally there and everything like that, and I know how it's connected. We'll get into it. But anyway, point there. Austin's right.
But yeah, so Carson is a big fat liar, has not been on this ride.
Yeah, no, I have not.
But he didn't know about it.
Liar.
That's all right, but we'll talk about what this ride is and the history of it and kind of the legacy. This ride's actually still open in Japan, which is interesting. Japan seems to have all like the Americana cult classics. Like if you go to the Disney, I think Disneyland Tokyo, Splash Mountain is still open, which is just like a very funny thought to me. But anyway, I'll tell you a little bit about the history of Jaws. Jaws opened in 409 theaters and set records with a $7 million opening weekend, becoming the first film to earn over $100 million in U.S. theatrical rentals. It spent 14 consecutive weeks at number 1 and surpassed The Godfather to become the highest-grossing film in North America. It was actually the first summer blockbuster at the time, and it was the movie that coined the term blockbuster. They thought it would be a flop, and so they plopped it in the middle of summer, where they assumed most people would be, outside doing what they want to do in the summer, enjoying the outdoors. And then this movie came along and just wrecked that and created the summer blockbuster. My mom actually remembers standing in line to wait to see this movie, and she was terrified of it, but that's how big of a success it was.
That would have been so cool. And just a
Oh yeah.
quick little, oh yeah, I don't know. Sorry if you get into this, and I'm jumping the gun a little bit. The word blockbuster was originally used in World War II to describe bombs that were strong enough and big enough to take out like city blocks, basically.
Wow, what a morbid fact! I did not know that. It is
It is a
fascinating,
very
though.
morbid fact, but then it was twisted around in a more positive way with films to be able to say
Yeah,
it was such a big explosion onto the scene.
they were like, "We're gonna explode this block with all the money we're gonna make."
Yep, exactly.
Some rich
Money
exec was
bomb.
saying that. Hmm. Jaw's success was just as impressive overseas, where it broke box office records around the world and became the highest grossing film ever worldwide at the time in 1976. The film eventually earned 260 million in US and Canadian dollars and 470 million globally before being surpassed by Star Wars. By 2014, Jaws had sold an estimated 128 million tickets, making it the seventh highest grossing movie of all time when adjusted for inflation. The film, because it was so successful and, like I said, created the summer blockbuster, it almost immediately inspired two theme park rides, one at Universal Studios Florida and one at Universal Studios Hollywood, and then later in Japan. Um, the original Jaws attraction debuted on the studio tour, which is unique to the Universal Studios Hollywood, in 1976, just 1 year after the film's release, and remains in operation today.
It looks like we may be next.
So if you're jonesing for Jaws in the United States, head on over to Hollywood and you can see them. Uh, Featuring a mechanical shark and set inspired by the movie, it quickly became one of the park's most recognizable attractions and even appeared in several television shows throughout the 1980s. One notable feature of the original attraction was the presence of the film's hero boat, the Orca, displayed in the lagoon. There's also a great Lego set of the Orca, and you can't see it, but right up there I have the. I should hold on. You know what?
You have it? That's cool.
I forgot to move it down. I don't have the covered in dust. I don't have the Orca right now. I have that down in storage, but I have the. I'll show the camera here. I got Bruce, the Lego. Oh, I knocked off.
This tail fall off.
I knocked off. Oh, the tail fell off, and I knocked off Quint. It's a real folly here, folks. I'll show Carson down here. There's Bruce.
Nice. Look at that. Oh, I love the minifigures too.
Yeah, I got the minifig of the guy I was for Halloween, Richard Dreyfuss, and then there's Quint and Brody, the two main characters. But yeah, I have that. A great little set of the Orca, which is the boat. I just realized I've been talking and I'm not on camera because I'm a moron. Keep that in though.
Dude, we're still listening. It's a podcast, brother. We're good.
It's a podcast.
We trusted you were coming back. You come back. Daddy would come back to us.
Yeah,
children.
Daddy comes back. I'm not going out for just a pack of cigs, folks.
Not just going to the 7-Eleven.
I'm not just going. I'm coming back. But yeah, the actual Orca from the movie, which was a boat, was in the lagoon at the studio tram tour. But let me see here. The vessel remained a part of the attraction until 1990, when it was removed and dismantled. This decision really pissed off Steven Spielberg, the man who directed Jaws. He was big in Universal Studios. He also has the E.T. ride, which is over there, which me and Carson were just talking about off camera. But they removed the Orca and like chopped it up, like because like it had like rot and it just like wasn't really maintained.
It was decomp, yeah.
Yeah, and so they just like chopped it up and got rid of it. And he was so mad about it. And the rumor is that he was like, "Don't ever do that again," which is why they have not touched the ET attraction over in Orlando.
Really? Is that why? Oh,
because
wow. That makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah, they don't want Spielberg to take his ball and go home because the Jurassic Park franchise, which is also a Steven Spielberg joint, is a big part of that. And so they're just like, well, we'll keep the ET ride. Sorry about the Orca. But it also is a bummer for me, who loves the movie, that the Orca no longer exists. But what are you going to do?
Yeah, the
Uh,
OG Orca. True.
yeah, OG Orca. The attraction's popularity inspired Universal to create a much larger standalone version at Universal Studios Florida. Opening in 1990, the ride placed guests aboard a tour boat through Amity Island and featured massive animatronic sharks, pyrotechnics, and elaborate special effects. Despite its ambitious design, the original Florida version was plagued with technical problems and frequent breakdowns. Universal ultimately closed the attraction and completely redesigned it with new effects, a new ride system, and a revised finale featuring the shark being electrocuted. The reimagined version was reopened in 1993 to much greater success. A third installation was opened at Universal Studios Japan in 2001, bringing the experience to a new audience. While the Florida attraction eventually closed in 2012, the Hollywood Studio Tour Encounter and the full attraction Japan continue to keep the legacy of Jaws alive. So the ride itself it wasn't very different, but it was slightly different when it was first released. It mainly followed like kind of the first movie where the shark takes like air canister or like a tank, and he gets blown up at the end by the skipper, who's part of the ride. But it just broke down all the damn time, and they were just like, "We got to fix this." And then the second version, where the shark bites the electrical wire at the end and gets electrocuted, is actually based off Jaws 2, the movie, that's how the shark dies at the end of that movie. Is he bites a big wire and gets electrocuted? So they played a little homage there. But the tram tour is largely it's fun, but like you just kind of you drive by like a pond that is Amityville, and
I think it's called Jaws Lake or something like that, right?
it is literally like it's just like a pond. It's like one of the first stops, but like the shark kind of comes up and he's like, and he just kind of goes by,
By
and
the
you're
side.
like, okay, you're like, there's Jaws, but they have like a nice little fire effect that is fun.
And they have like a police scuba diver in the center that's like screaming and then gets pulled under.
He gets at George, I believe is the scuba diver's name.
Sure.
But yeah, he gets at, and then the brave studio tram driver gets you away from Jaws, aka Bruce. But it's funny that anything with this shark in real life has just been plagued with technical difficulties. In the movie, the shark broke down all the time, and that's why the movie took forever and went over budget. And the ride, it kept breaking down. And even in the second version, which is the one I've been on, it broke down all the damn time. That was like the thing that was notorious about this ride. Very hard to get on, tons of downtime, just never worked. Even when it did work, the effects weren't really good, which we'll get into later. But yeah. But Carson, you have not been on this ride, but you watched a POV. So tell me about, what do you think about this ride?
I have. I think it would have been cool to be on the boat. I think it would have been fun to do that. And clearly I will say even if I was in high school, I honestly would have probably been more, nervous and afraid of it. Because I wouldn't have known anything about it. And even earlier than that, I definitely would have been scared if I was in like junior high. Looking at it now, I am kind of like, oh boy, that is an older animatronic. I do like the part where the Jaws bites the wire, and then there's the second animatronic that pops up. He's all part. Just like
yes.
burn to
also,
a crisp.
Also
I'm like,
oh
my god, he got. So I liked that. I liked that part a lot. But yeah, I like the boat ride. I also looked at the the studio tour one where he does come by, and the animatronic's hilarious. It's just going like,
yeah, it just like dies by you real quick, and you're like, all right.
And the tram guide is like, oh wow, oh boy, look at that, look out, we're gonna be safe if we're by this pier. That's not gonna move. Yeah. So goofy.
I like the camp of it though. It's always fun. I like camp.
That is true. It feels cool. Oh, I hope I'm not stealing your thunder on this. I did see the story about like this 39-year-old man that fell into the Orlando one in 1990. And sued Orlando for it.
We can talk about that now. I mean, it's not like it's not a big thing, but let me see where I have that here. So let's see. In 1990, a 39-year-old man fell into the water after a railing allegedly broke. What happened was he kind of just like fell in, and then everyone tried to get him out, and some people thought it was part of the show. But then he also fell like back in once, but people were clapping because they were like, "Yay!" But then he did end up suing, and some people think that's like felonious. But the problem is not that. Obviously, the shark is not a danger; it's not going to eat him. It's an animatronic, but the danger lies within the electrical work and like getting stuck underneath. And so I think it's kind of actually a fair lawsuit. I know they settle out of court or for like $1 million, but for me that's fair because you're not expecting danger there. But yeah, that did happen. Jaws almost got someone in real life too.
Yeah, seriously. That would have been. Could you imagine? I mean, so the skipper, from what I saw about the story, the skipper on that specific uh boat ride did a really good job at pressing the emergency stop ASAP. So like I'm sure to the best of to the best of their ability, there was no other mechanics moving down in the water. So that part was
Yeah,
good. But you're right. But you're totally right. There is still plenty of risk involved with someone getting caught. They could piece of clothing could get caught,
yeah,
or
absolutely.
like your foot could get caught in the mechanics. But could you imagine if you like opened your eyes and the damn shark is right there with his jaws wide open in front of you in the water? No, absolutely not. No,
I
thank
would be
you.
like,
That's nightmare fuel.
he bit me. Universal, give me a lifetime pass. Thank you.
Lifetime fast
Uh,
pass. Thank you. Thank
oh yeah,
you. Thank you.
I would be like, hey, I won't sue you, but like, give me access to all the parks on anyone I want.
Yeah. And the backstage parts.
Absolutely. Oh, my experience with this ride is that my close friends growing up, their family like went to Universal like a bunch, and they were like, "Don't waste your time on Jaws. It's not that good of a ride." When my family went in like 2010, 2009, something like that, we had some downtime, and we were in Amity, and I of course love Jaws. And so I was like, let's ride it. We have some downtime. And so we did it. And like, I think like 3 of the effects worked. Like it just like the, like when it's supposed to pop up, it didn't pop up. It popped up at the end once, like where it was like the normal shark, but when it bit the wire and then when it was burnt. But largely like pretty much nothing worked on this attraction. Uh,
Really? So you missed like the really big parts of it, like when it chases the boat, on the
like
left hand
we
side.
it happened like in terms of like the skipper doing his damnedest to be like, oh no, like it's chasing after us, but like it wasn't
Yeah,
there, you know what I mean, like it didn't work.
right. You're like,
uh
oh, where? How do you know that?
yeah, and it was like the dying days of this attraction, but it was like the dying days of this attraction. But uh I also, when I was doing the research, because I didn't realize at the time, because I don't know if I had been on Jungle Cruise yet, this ride is extremely similar to Jungle Cruise, the Disney attraction. You ever been on Jungle Cruise, Cars?
No, but that doesn't surprise me. Interesting.
It's not a 1-to-1, but the ride is similar. Like there's a skipper for both of them, and like the Jungle Cruise one is like he's making bad jokes, and so is the Jaws one. They both have like a
Mhm.
fake prop gun that they use to shoot various animatronics that are coming after you. You kind of just like go around on a slow meandering boat tour. I will say Jungle Cruise is definitely themed a bit better, but I was like, well, actually, this is very similar. So I'm not surprised that Universal moved on from Jaws just because of like, I don't know, it wasn't one of their main attractions. And as Carson will tell you here in just a second, they kind of moved on to something bigger and better. But Carson, go ahead and read that first thing I sent you.
Don't mind if I do. In Carson's corner.
Carson's Corner. This is actually not Carson's Corner. The other one is Carson's Corner. This is just a Carson tidbit.
Oh, okay. Carson's tidbit. Carson's bits.
Carson's Bits, my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you're foaming at the mouth for it, you little
Mm-hmm.
feral beast. Okay, overview. Jaws is an amusement ride attraction based on the Jaws film series and is located at Universal Studios Hollywood and Universal Studios Japan. It originally opened at Universal Studios Hollywood as part of the studio tour on April 10th, 1976. A standalone ride at Universal Florida in Orlando opened on June 7th, 1990, and another installation later opened at Universal Studios Japan on March 31st, 2001. The Hollywood iteration has the tram through a harbor of the fictional Amity Island, only to be interrupted by an attack of the famous great white shark. The Florida and Japan iterations ride uses tour boats. On January 2nd, 2012, the attraction was removed from the Florida theme park to make room for the second phase of expansion for the Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
So this was replaced for the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Carson, one of your favorite rides was the thing that killed this ride. Any guesses? Harry Potter based.
Oh, Gringotts.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
Gringotts
yeah.
was spelled as this ride's doom. I have not been on Gringotts because I have not been back to Universal Studios since they had this. But I probably think that's a worthy accessor. I love Jaws. I just
I
don't
was
think
just
this
gonna say
ride's
I've been on it. I've been on Gringotts. It's even though I haven't been on Jaws, 100% worth the renovation for it.
Yeah.
Or the replacement for it. A replacement for it.
And more people care about it. I mean, I love Jaws, but more people care about Harry Potter. But some stats and info for you. In the Universal Studios Hollywood, this is part of the studio tour. It is currently operating, opened in 1976. In Universal Studios Florida, it was in the San Francisco / Amity Island section, which is funny because Amity Island is in New Jersey, not in San Fran. It obviously has been removed. Opened in 1990, closed 2012, and was replaced with Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. In Universal Studios Japan, it is in the Amity Island section. It is currently operating. This ride costs for Japan, it looks about $35 million, and the duration for the ride is about 5 minutes, give or take. The queues for this ride are actually kind of different. They're actually all different, based on where you were. The Florida queue is literally just like a big ass boathouse with switchbacks in it. There's a couple of like nautical themed stuff to look at, but really it's just like a big boathouse with switchbacks. The demand for this ride was not huge, as you can imagine. The Hollywood queue is the tram tour queue, which is where you're in switchbacks looking at kind of facts about the studio tour. If you watch the Game Grumps or the Grumps, they did a great video where they covered Universal queues, and they did not like this one because they.
Oh, did they really? I'll have to check that one out.
If you didn't wait in line, you wouldn't have been able to see the 1980s to the 1990s. It was a time of change.
Yeah, they specifically the queues, but they didn't like this one because you just kind of stand there. But you do get to look over the hills, which are pretty. The Anaheim Hills, or not Anaheim, not Anaheim, the Hollywood Hills. And in Japan, best queue by a mile. You actually go through like a history museum of Amity, and there's like tons of cool stuff to look at. I don't think there's props from the movies, but there's like there's like old diving suits and like there's like really good thematic stuff. And you actually like walk through a museum, and so it's not just like it's a boathouse museum, but it's not just a boathouse like it was in the States. So a really cool one if you've been over.
Love that.
The story of this ride is after the shark nicknamed Jaws was eventually destroyed by Chief Brody, Matt Hooper, and Quint in 1974, Brody became a legend in Amity Harbor, and the Jaws incident inspired Steven Spielberg's big movie. However, tourism on Amity Island strongly decreased following the incident due to fear of sharks. Eventually, a resident seaman, Jake Grundy, decided to open a new boat tour on the island, which would take guests out to the historic areas where the shark attacks actually occurred, which ultimately brought back tourism to the island. And that's the story for Universal Florida and Japan. The story in Hollywood is, as a tram drives into a peaceful Amity seaside town, George, a police diver, makes sure there are no problems. A shark approaches George and kills him in the water. The tram then moves onto a dock where the dock has tilted, nearly plunging the tram guest into the water. The shark ruptures the gas line and the whole dock catches fire. The shark then approaches the tram and tries to attack it as the tram escapes to the dock just in time. So there you go. Those are the kind of the differences between the rides. Also, apparently the movie was so successful that people actually started hunting sharks out of fear, which is a bummer. So don't do that. Sharks are cool. I know they're big and scary, but just leave them be. They're cool. But
shark attacks on humans are rare.
They're very rare. If you drive on a daily basis, you are much more likely to get hurt that way. Don't worry about shark attacks. Just don't cover yourself in shark bait, and you'll be good.
Yeah. Or with blood.
Yeah, and like Batman, carry shark repellent on you.
There you
go. Carson, now you're in Carson's corner. Read that next bit.
We have a pit stop in my own little corner, in my own little room. Welcome to Carson's Corner. Guests board a guided sightseeing tour through Amity Island where they are told they will visit the real locations of the infamous 1974 shark attacks that inspired the blockbuster film Jaws. Piloted by one of Captain Jake's skippers, the tour begins as a relaxing cruise through Amity Harbor, passing familiar landmarks including Chief Brody's home and the island's waterfront businesses. The peaceful tour is cut short when a distress call from another skipper ends in screams, leading guests to discover the wreckage of a tour boat sinking near the harbor entrance. Moments later, a massive great white shark appears and begins stalking the tour boat. The skipper's attempts to fend it off with a grenade launcher fail, and the shark continues its relentless attacks, ramming a boathouse, bursting through its walls, and later pursuing the boat through the harbor. As the danger escalates, a misplaced grenade ignites a gas dock, surrounding the boat with flames and forcing a narrow escape. With no safe options remaining, the skipper heads for an old fishing pier near a high voltage barge. There, the shark accidentally bites into an underwater power cable and is electrocuted. When it rises from the water for one final attack, the skipper lands a direct hit with the grenade launcher, finally defeating the shark. The guests are safely returned to the dock, having survived a dramatic encounter that brings peace back to Amity Island once again. I did not know that it was a grenade launcher that did that at the end. I thought it was just from all the voltage that it took from biting through that cord, that cable.
You know, that might be like an approximation because he does bite the cable, but the skipper definitely shoots at the shark a bunch with like a grenade launcher. Obviously, it's like a nothing, but he does absolutely shoot at him with a grenade launcher for a bit. But like you said, the best part of the ride for me was like the burnt toast shark at the end. He just kind of like, he like bites the wire, he gets shot, and then he's just like, he just looks like burnt toast. I like that he pops back up though. It's very funny to me. The best part of this ride is the boathouse scene where you go into like a dark boathouse trying to escape Jaws, and he like attacks you in there. A very cool scene. Was cooler in the original version though, because it was a lot more spooky, a lot scarier. It was a lot longer too. But you know, beggars can't be choosers. This ride doesn't even exist anymore. I just thought it worth pointing out. But let's see here. Like we said, in 2012, it closed. It had like a big farewell with like some of the original skippers coming back and doing one last tour. Today, a few tributes of the Jaws ride remain in the park, including the iconic hanging shark in the San Francisco area and several Amity-themed structures. The attraction continues to operate in Universal Studios Japan, and while its original tram encounter remains part of Universal Studios Hollywood. So the good, the bad, the ugly section. The good for me is I love Jaws, so I'm always excited to see this ride. The last/current iteration of the Jaws ride is based off Jaws 2, which is a good movie. It's not nearly as good as Jaws 1, but compared to Jaws 3 and Jaws 4, which are like a travesty to behold, like truly an assault on the eyes in every single way. Maybe watch like the last 5 minutes of Jaws 4 though. In Jaws 4, Carson, I don't know if you're seeing any of these. Have you seen any of these?
I've seen the first one. I have not seen any of the others.
3 is they work out like it's not SeaWorld, but like it's for all intents and purposes SeaWorld, and like it's in 3D and the shark attacks them, but like all the effects suck. They're terrible. And in 4, the spouse of Brody from the first movie, the wife, is hunted by a shark that wants revenge because Brody killed Bruce in the first movie. And so it's hunting her in the Caribbean because they have a psychic connection. And it sounds like I'm making that up, but I am not making that up.
That sounds like a B indie movie.
There's a hilarious shot of like a clay shark on the top of like, it gets like speared by the boat. It's in like one frame of the movie. I'm going to throw it up right now. It is so bad looking. I love that it was in a motion major picture. Also, Michael Caine's in the movie, and he flies a plane. Yeah, not as fine. Good for Michael Caine, not as fine as works as he would say. But yeah. Let's see the bad. The effects were really hit and miss. The shark in the first version looked a lot better. It was like a more high def shark, but that's why it never effing worked. That's why they had to like move on from it because it just like never worked ever. And so the second iteration, shark looked a little worse, but whatever. It worked better, so that works. There's also in the queue there was a 51-minute video called like I think it was called Hey There Amity. That was like a talk show that featured like different bits like a talk show would. And it went for like 51 minutes, and it wasn't like on a repeat. That was like the loop was 51 minutes. While the queue is definitely not great, I always love, I love Q videos, especially ones that are like fully in universe. Like this was like a talk show in Amityville, and they're like, enjoy the tour, like they're just like doing like news bits, and I always think that's really fun. So that's something good for me. And the ugly is that this ride had more downtime than it had uptime. This ride was just broken all the damn time. That's why they had to get rid of it. It just never worked like ever, ever, ever. And they were like, we got to move on from this. And, I liked it for the time. I'm sure the one in Japan works a lot better than the ones did in the States. But yeah, they just had to move on from it. But yeah, that's a little bit about Jaws for you. Carson, before we get into our test, anything else you want to say about it?
Not really, man. You covered all those bases, so you're good.
All right.
You are good to go.
Let's roll into the tickets. Yeah, tickets pleaseometer test. Test number 1. To all that come to this happy place, can your grandma get on this ride? Can a small kid get on this ride? Are there any other limitations? If you can get on this ride, if you're in Japan or you're back in the day, yeah, pretty much you can get on this ride. It was a very slow-moving boat ride. Some guests complained of like getting burns from the fire effects, but what was actually happening is guests were sunburnt, and then like the fire that was like hot, it like kind of exacerbated
They
it.
felt it. Yeah,
but you weren't actually getting
dumb.
but it's not really an intense ride. So if you can get on it physically, you can get on this ride. So for me, that's a pass. What about you?
Yeah, easy pass. And you covered everything I was going to talk about, so you're good.
The shake, rattle, and roll test number 2. What is the ride physically like? Whether it's top speed, if it aims to be thrilling, does it succeed? Does it cause discomfort? Does it fulfill its purpose? So the ride is physically a slow boat ride. Its top speed, when I looked it up, I think it was less than 5 miles an hour. It also just said slow. It does not cause discomfort, at least for me. But does it fulfill its purpose? For me, I got to say no, because it had a ton of downtime. They replaced it eventually. So for me, that's going to be a fail. But Carson, what about you?
That's a good point. I think I do agree with you about your last point with that it doesn't fulfill its purpose. Clearly, it's not around still anymore. So I'm going to give it a soft pass because it still covers the majority of those bases that answer the majority of those questions. So soft pass for me.
I forgot to look up the queue time for this. Give me 1 sec.
You're good. It wasn't very long, if I remember correctly.
Definitely not on stage. It was a walk-on.
The longest in Japan that I could find was like 40 minutes.
Okay.
Or no, sorry, Japan was the longest time it ever recorded on like Thrill Data was 360 minutes, but the average time is like 35 to 40 minutes for the Japanese one.
Yeah, it says historical average 41 minutes. That's pretty long. But we'll go with that. All right, test number 3. Enter the Q-Universe test. What is the average wait time? How good is the queue experience? Does the queue have interactive elements? We're going to go off the Japan one because it's still around and is more unique than the Studio Tram. The average wait time is somewhere around 40 minutes. Like I said, Carson, the Japan queue is actually amazing. You walk through like a history museum of Amity, and it also has that 51-minute video. But I'll let you answer first. What do you think? Pass or fail?
I'm gonna go based off of the Orlando one, and I'm gonna say it's a fail. I would if I could go to the Japanese
one day. That's correct.
If I could go to Japan and see the ride there, I would love to. I'm sure it would change my answer, but since I'm sticking to the States, I'm saying fail.
Totally fair. Yeah, the one in the States sucks. But I'm going to go with the Japanese ones. I'm going to give it a pass. Plus, I love a 51-minute video. That took a lot of time for them to like produce, and so I love the effort that goes into that. And I like the museum as well. So for the Japan queue, I'm giving that a pass. If it was still around the States, it'd be an obvious fail. It's just a big boathouse.
Yeah, that's fair.
Test number 4, to infinity and beyond test. Does this ride create a world beyond itself? Can it be adapted into other media? How popular is it, and has it created a legacy? Hmm. That's a tough one.
Because
People did
the
love this ride.
the movies definitely created the legacy, but the ride itself,
Yes. The
hmm,
It is such an old movie at this point. I think it came out either 73 or 76. I think 70, maybe
it was
75.
it was 75 because the ride was released a
Yeah.
year after the movie.
So 75, it's 51 years old this year. I'm not sure how many kids are watching Jaws, but people were very sad when this ride closed in 2012, and still remember it fondly. And it's still like a classic part of the studio tour. But for me, the ride does not create a world beyond itself. It barely creates a world for itself. That's why it wasn't the best. So
Yeah.
for me, that's a fail. What about you?
Yeah, talk about the ride specifically, it's a fail. Obviously, being that it's no longer there in Orlando, and then that it just got, you know, absorbed into the tourists. Like what's that? What's the full ride called? Where
The
they
studio
just watch
tram
those
tour.
the tram tour. Thank you. It gets absorbed into the tram tour. It's not its own separate thing. So,
Yeah, agreed.
yeah, fail for me.
And then the next test, which will be a fail almost based off the name, test number 5, the downtime test. Has this ride adapted over time? Does it experience frequent downtime? Is it difficult to get on? For me, that's a huge failure. This is the ride I think about. This is the ride I made this test based off of, because this ride was so hard to get on. I felt like it was down more than it was ever up. And so for me, I like that it adapted once, but it didn't really adapt into the future. So for me, that's a fail.
And that's a big part of the history of it too. Honestly, when I kept looking up the history of this ride, it's that it was constant, especially in Orlando, constant downtimes.
Constantly down.
So, yeah, totally a fail.
Another big failure coming up based off the test name, the past, present, and future test. Does this ride have staying power? Will it be around in 10 years? Will it be around in 20? Will the IP remain relevant? Is it likely to get replaced? I think the last question, the sub question, is it likely to get replaced in Japan? I think is a yes. And I think all the other sub questions are no. Obviously, it doesn't have staying power. It was not around for 10 or 20 years because it's been gone since 2012. And I love Jaws very much, but I just don't think the IP has remained super relevant. In terms of the other Spielberg IPs, Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, those are a lot more relevant. Yeah, E.T. is not relevant, though I love it very much. But it is not. I would not say Jaws is up there. But so for me, that's a fail. What about you?
Can you read through those questions one more time for it? I know the past, present, and future one.
Does the ride have staying power? Will it be around in 10 years? Will it be around in 20 years? Will the IP remain relevant? And is it likely to get replaced?
Okay. Clearly, it's likely to get replaced.
Yep.
But it's still there in Japan.
I think it's very likely to get replaced in Japan, though.
You do? Okay. I can see it being like but the thing is I don't know, with how much effort they put in for the queue, do you think that they would still do that?
Yeah, it's shocking to me that it's still there, to be honest with you. But based off all the Epic Universe stuff that has been happening stateside, I feel that there's going to be some big changes to some of the overseas Universal parks coming up, and I think this could easily be on the chopping block.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, my thing is, it is technically still around if we're taking in the whole scope of the ride of like parks in the world. It's still around. It kind of lasted in sections where it was like Hollywood, then Orlando, and then Japan, and then the one in Orlando just didn't make it through. It just kept pooping the bed. And then, having that as part of like the tourist tram in Hollywood keeps it around a little bit, but it doesn't make it its own independent thing, so that kind of hurts the score for me a little bit too. But I agree that this is where I get caught because I think I am leaning a bit towards it's not as easy of a choice for me. I'm going to lean a soft. I'm going to say soft fail, but just barely because it's still
You put that one
staying
through
power.
its paces.
What's that?
I said you put that through its paces. I can't ask for more. You really thought about that question and gave it an honest answer.
I tried. I was honestly trying to save it and give for myself and give it a pass, but I just couldn't because of the way that the Orlando one didn't make it through. But the Japan one is still keeping it around, so that's why it was making me debate.
Yeah, and I guess it's still in the
And the
studio
IP's still
trap
there.
drawer, but I will not
Yeah.
change my answer. Fail.
That's fair.
Test number 7, the Mel Brooks test, merchandising. Would you buy merchandise from this ride? If yes, what? Does it translate well into sales? I would buy merch from this. I have
Yeah.
bought Jaws merch before, but I would also buy Jaws merch that said Jaws the Ride. I think that's pretty funny.
Yeah, definitely.
I would also love to buy a little burnt shark. That would be. I would love to have that. So yes, for me,
Have
that's
that just
a
chill on my
pass.
desk.
Is that a pass for you? It sounds like.
Oh yeah. Oh, easy pass. I would love to wear a shirt that says Jaws the Ride, like Jaws and then the ride underneath or something, with the
think it's really
iconic photo
funny.
in the back like that. That's easy. That's an easy one.
Actually, might even have I might even have like bought the picture of me in front of the tiger shark that was not Jaws in front of the the one that's hanging. But anyway,
Yeah.
test number 8, top gunning for more tests. Does this ride offer enough to justify multiple rides? Are people excited after riding? Is excitement noticeable in line? Carson, you want to answer that one first?
Sure. I'm gonna say it's not noticeable in line. I'm gonna say it's not noticeable in line. What was the first question?
Does it offer enough to justify multiple rides?
No. Okay, it's a
Yeah.
fail for me.
I don't even think it justifies enough to. I think it barely justifies enough for one.
Yeah.
And if your favorite part of the studio trim tour is the Jaws section, hey, more power to you. But I would be surprised.
Yeah, same.
Test number 9: a ghost will follow you home test. Does this ride linger in your thoughts days later? Would you recommend it to others? Take it away.
Fail.
Fail for course.
Fail.
Yeah, you haven't been on this ride, but it is going to be a surprising pass for me because if you were in Japan, I'd be like, you got to get on it. It's a unique ride. It's weird. It's definitely worth at least one ride, but I think just one. It's not one of the ones you're going to want to re-ride. But for me, I do think about it. I do love Jaws, so I'm biased, but for me, that's a pass. A light pass, but it's still a pass.
Yeah, it still answers at least one of those questions as a yes.
Mm-hmm. And then test number 10. Tickets, please, priority test. Is the experience worth planning your day around? Would you wait twice the average time to ride? And if you don't ride, will your day have been worse? Obviously, this one's going to be a fail. I actually think the Japanese wait time of 40 minutes is pretty long for this ride. It's a nice little boat ride, about 5 minutes, but I think 40 minutes is kind of pushing it. And I definitely would not wait 80 minutes for this ride. And if I couldn't get on it, I'm not going to be like happy that I didn't get on it. Like if I missed Minions or something, but I'm going to be like, that's all right. We got to make sacrifices.
Yeah, that must have. They must have like very few. I don't know how they decided the number of boats for the Japan ride. They must have done it so that it would purposely average out to be a good amount of time in the queue, so that you could enjoy all the effort that they put into it. Right. That's my theory behind it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
yeah, fail for me as well.
All right, folks, that will bring us to the end. I'm going to do some tabulations here.
I'm gonna be surprised if it even gets to a 5.
It did not. It got a 3 out of 10 for you.
Yeah.
Let me make sure that's correct. Yep. And it got a 4 out of 10 for me. Nice little 4th of July episode. Wink. Which leaves that at let's see, our 3.5 out of 10, which I believe will be, what is that? Tickets. That's not a very good score. that is not. Somewhere between tickets trashed and tickets tolerated. Once again, I think our combined score is right in the money there. It's not really around anymore, folks. So like, I think that's right where it should be, to be honest with you. I like this ride a lot because I like Jaws, but I don't think it's a particularly outstanding ride. And in terms of water rides, I think it's like one of my bottom ones. But
yeah, I totally agree.
It's definitely not like, it's not, it's not a travesty that we lost this one, but I do understand why people like it. And I like the interactive elements of acting as well. But that will bring us to the end of this 4th of July episodes. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate all your support here. Help us get to 1,000 and then beyond. Follow me at OSG Tickets Please on TikTok. Follow Cars on Instagram. I tag him in pretty much everything. He's also on TikTok. And then follow Tickets Please on YouTube or Spotify. We're putting in a lot of great work here. We're going to continue to have great guests on and continue to develop in the future. And if you want to see more Halloween Horror Nights content, let me know. Always willing to cover that stuff. And yeah, we'll continue rolling. But Carson, I'll let you take us out.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.